The dynamic between Yuji and Sukuna is one of the more fascinating in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen in my opinion. It's the true shonen version of Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, two polar opposites in personalities. Yuji, when we first get introduced to him, is this adorable student who has his school activities and he's got a little bit of a quirky personality. He views the loss of life in one of the most innocent ways possible. And then of course we have Sukuna, this cursed spirit who hasn't seen a person that isn't named Megumi who he doesn't want to actually slit their throat. When looking at the Culling Game, we're about to see the two sides clash in a way that is going to be very ripe for conflict. One who hates the idea of killing but understands that there are times where breaking that sacred commandment to not take life is something that must indeed be broken. Then we have the one who is all too pleased to kill whoever comes across his path. If anything, the Culling Game is to Sukuna what recess is to a middle school student. That is why I think it's inevitable for Sukuna to go on his rampage during the Culling Game. So far in the series, we've caught glimpses of what Sukuna on a rampage might actually do. Human beings or cursed spirits, it doesn't matter. Anyone can catch that smoke from Sukuna. However, this is what makes the conflict so nice. A good writer understands the importance of having a strong internal conflict for a main character and having external conflicts that directly play off the internal conflict of the main character, even at times pushing the main character to rethink their stance on how they actually view the world. Their whole perception of the world changes. We truly have another chance of this if Sukuna is allowed to go off on a rampage in this arc, and narratively it does actually fit. So it's bad enough that Yuji's in a situation where his very survival depends on taking the lives of others, but there remains the wildcard possibility now that Yuta is separated from Yuji that Sukuna could take control if a situation presents itself to him. For a character like Yuji, who's already lost two people he cares for, Nanami, who died at the hands of Mahito, and Nobara, who's still fighting for her life following the battle with Mahito, Yuji is being pushed to the edge with these losses, and now Yuta, the person who vowed to kill him if Sukuna took over his body, he's no longer going to be at Yuji's side. Out of all the deaths that Yuji's seen, 3 of them were at the hands of Mahito or directly because of Mahito. From the very first death that we saw in season 1 of the anime, when Yuji was forced to kill someone that he viewed as a friend, to watching Nanami be killed right in front of his very eyes and Nobara be left at death's door before he could actually act to save her. Yuji post Shibuya arc has definitely changed, and I think it's a change for the better. His eyes no longer reflect that happy-go-lucky persona that we saw very fresh on in the series, but instead, with each of Sukuna's fingers that he swallowed, each loss of life that has happened right in front of him, his eyes actually reflect the soul of somebody who's struggling with the world around him, as well as the demon inside of him, as he is slowly becoming a more tormented soul. He's the polar opposite of what you expect from the main character in a series that's in Weekly Shonen Jump. Look at where Deku and Asta and even somebody like Naruto were 130 chapters into their series into Weekly Shonen Jump. They still had that bubbly personality. They still had that greater than life appreciation. They haven't gone through the same mental trials and tribulations that Yuji Itadori has gone through, and it's because of how much darker he's actually gone through this path that it really feels like it's a more rewarding situation to have Yuji here, because we know ultimately where Yuji's story is going to actually end based on everything that's happening all around the character. Some characters get a happy ending. It very strongly looks like Yuji's not going to be one of those characters, and that's okay. Sukuna going on a rampage would essentially be Yuji once again suffering failure, suffering at the hands of something that he can't actually control, that his body is responsible for, but he can't actually stop it. And watching that character fail and watching that character struggle with the ramifications of it is something that adds to his character dynamic. It adds to his actual growth, and ultimately once we get the conclusion of the Yuji and Sukuna situation, it could be one of those things to where even if Yuji does get killed off, or if Yuji's held responsible for the things that happen in the Culling Game, even though the rules of the game pretty much dictate somebody dying, even if something like that happens, watching him overcome or fail to overcome those situations will make for a good payoff. Having Sukuna go on yet another rampage, leaving a wake of destruction on top of Yuji being forced to kill during the Culling Game is something that will send turbulent shockwaves throughout Yuji's soul and will continue to change the character as he continues to have growth forced upon him. Not only that, but if the introduction of yet another one of Sukuna's fingers somehow gets shoved down Yuji's throat, it would again further raise the stakes for that beloved character and continue to set him up as a tragic hero. Whether or not that hero succeeds or the hero ends up falling in the end is ultimately gonna be at the hands of the actual writer. But one thing we know about the actual author of Jujutsu Kaisen is that no character is safe and there's no line that he's not willing to cross. So I definitely think that there is a strong possibility, given how much Yuji has actually struggled with this is something that I could see happening. Sukuna taking over Yuji's body at some point and really racking up the points. However, I want to know your guys' thoughts on this matter. Let me know how you feel down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.